So we have with us our speaker, Mr. Valli Nayagamti. He's a member of the CII Institute of Logistics Academic Advisory Group and has 25 years of experience as the divisional head and international business manager in Forbes Marshall and divisional head oil and gas mechanical unit of a Zubair group of companies in Muscat in Oman. Mr. Valli Nayagam has headed export-oriented units in Chennai. His specializations are plant optimization, manufacturing and production control, supply chains, international sourcing, global logistics, and operations management. He has global experience in contract sourcing, vendor management, supply chains, and conference engagements. He has also served as independent program chair for entrepreneur development programs for various engineering and management institutions through NTSC and designed EDP programs. Besides corporate and global experience, Mr. Valli Nayagam has served as a consultant, faculty, CII Institute of Logistics, guest and visiting faculty in several other educational institutions, national and government bodies, NSIC, and National Productivity Council in the areas of entrepreneur development and energy efficiency. He is empaneled in CII, Institute of Logistics Academic Advisory Group. He has completed his MS Technological Operations from BITS Pilani and is a chartered engineer from Institution of Engineers, India. He also has a postgraduate degree in management. Now we have our program chair, Professor Dr. Kalyan C. Checharla. Professor Kalyan is an assistant professor at the Institute of Management Technology, Hyderabad. He's a PhD from the Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, postgraduate from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, PGDBA and CFA from ICFI Business School, and BSc Engineering from National Institute of Technology, Jamshedpur. Before moving into academics in 2014, he has worked for about 18 years in the supply chain domain at globally renowned organizations such as Tata Motors, HCL Technologies, Tata Consultancy Services, and Dell International Services. During his corporate stint, he played diverse roles in digital transformation journeys of customers in US, UK, and Japan. He has published numerous cases and has recently authored a book titled Lean Management for Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Adapting Operations to Changing Business Environment, published by Springer Nature. His areas of interest are operations, logistics and supply chain management, lean and quality management, business process management, and decision making. He is a panel member of Digital Transformation, IT and Startup Chapter of CII Telangana. I welcome both our speakers to this webinar, and I would like to open the floor for both of you to come and, tell our students and our aspirants for logistics and supply chain management what it means to study this program and what is it that they should look forward to. Any of our speakers can give the introduction. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Very good morning, everyone. Am I audible and visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible and visible.
Okay. Mr. Valnagam, I'll go first.
Please.
I'll take about 10-15 minutes in giving a quick overview of the program, logistics overview, the imperative of the program, and how the students, how is the overall, economy around, and why this program is relevant in the current context. And then I'll, pass it on to you, and then perhaps you could share some of your thoughts. So collectively, we would have taken about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. And from there, we will pick questions. Is that all right, Mr. Valnagam?
Perfect, Doctor. Perfect.
All right. Okay. Very warm welcome to the participants of the webinar here today. Those of you from the states of Andhra, Karnataka, or Maharashtra, a happy Ugadi, happy Gudi Padava to all of you. I hope you are having a good time there. With that background, let me try and share my screen here. Please confirm if you can. Share screen. Okay, can you please, Ms. Valnayam, can you please confirm if you are able to see my
Yes.
screen here?
Yes, we could see the
Okay.
screen.
All right. Okay. So I have a few slides to give you an overview of the logistics sector in the country. But before I do that, let me take a minute in introducing the program to you. This is a newly launched industry track program called PGDM in logistics and supply chain management. Like other MBA programs from IMT. This is a 2-year residential program, and it did have its own very rigorous selection procedure. And I must congratulate those of you who've been able to clear that selection procedure and have been made offers. So, as I said, it's going to be entirely a residential program. We are launching this from this very year itself, that is 2024 onwards, in collaboration with very prestigious organization, industry organization, which we all know, called Confederation of Indian Industries, which has one of the centers of excellence called Institute of Logistics. We, IMT Hyderabad and CII together have come up and joined hands in designing and delivering this program over the coming 2 years to the entire batch. Not just that, by virtue of deep industry connect that CII enjoys, throughout the course of the program, a lot of senior industry experts are going to be interacting and taking some courses to all of you, whoever are joining this program. This industry connect is going to be helpful for us, not just to do some projects, but also for summer internship, that is between first and second year, and also for final placements. So clear word of caution, so to speak, is those of you who are very clear in terms of making career in the domain of logistics and supply chain management are the ones that should be looking at this program, because once you get into the program, unlike general MBA programs, you will not have any scope to change your preferences later on. So I think that is something that we would like to ensure. Right from very term one itself, it's going to be quite intense and very logistics oriented. Therefore, you must, those of you who are joining, you must make up your mind to enter into this highly exciting and filled with opportunities sector. But that's the word of caution. So with that, let me very quickly move on and talk a little bit about what's happening in the country with respect to logistics, right? So we all know India is growing at a very fast pace, and in 2022 we have surpassed the GDP of UK to become fifth largest economy in the world already. And way back in 2018 itself, there was a vision that was so-called published by the government of India, that it would want to take India to a $5 trillion economy by 2024 and 2025. And we are already quite on the path, in the sense that in 2024 we closed the economy with a size of 4.12 trillion. Therefore, we can fairly well achieve this $5 trillion economic size. Now, what does this mean? I mean, GDP is just a number. For making GDP happen, what all are the things that country should do to be able to, smooth this so-called trade, right? So in ensuring that GDP meets its target, logistics, I would say, is the oil that runs the engine, which is called as GDP, right? Unless the logistics in the country is smooth, you will you will find it difficult to achieve the kind of GDP goals that you have. And rightfully so, you will see along this line in proportion to the growth of GDP, which are the blue bars here, the gray line here is which is the freight activity in terms of trillion ton kilometers has also been accordingly growing, right? So point of the matter is this. Point number one, GDP is growing at a fast pace. Point number two, there is logistics that is growing at the same pace, but then it is groaning at so-called straining, and we will look at what are the points of strain there. So so that's the overall picture. Now let me take a step back and introduce the term logistics and what does logistics consist of to those students to whom the term is a little unfamiliar, right? So we know that whenever we buy material, it has to go through a supply chain, right? I mean, there is a raw material that will get converted into production, some completed product, finished good by manufacturers, who then will send it to the wholesalers through distributors, and then from wholesalers it goes to the retailers and customers, right? So every product that you see around has to go through this supply chain, right? So there are therefore as many supply chains, as many products that we see around. Now, for making this flow of products easy and smooth enough, what you need to have is called as logistics infrastructure and service providers. What does the infrastructure and service consist of? Various modes of moving the material, that is transportation services, and also ways of storing the material at right times, right? And one of the simplest reasons as to why we want to store material is because the time of production and time of consumption could be different. I mean, we all know in the case of, say, for example, agriculture, we know that in rainy season we get a lot of produce, but then the consumption of it is over the year, right? So there must be some good way of storing the items without them getting spoiled, and making it available when it is needed and where it is needed, right? So you need to have that kind of infrastructure. Then various toll bridges, airports, ports that we see, they all also form part of our infrastructure. And technology plays a increasingly very, very important role in making logistics smooth, right? So you will see during the course of the program, and I will encourage you to also go through various websites that talk about the role of technology, particularly at the government level. Government is putting a lot of effort in making information available to various stakeholders that are in the logistics sector. And for that, you need to lay huge so-called information backbone. I'll talk about it as we go along. Logistics consists of various services such as freight forwarders, transportation services, and so on and so forth. Third-party logistics providers, aggregators, and so on and so forth. So all these things put together is what I would call as logistics service providers, right? So this is what, in a nutshell, I mean, without actually taking a class on it, in a nutshell, what logistics is all about, right? So once again, over a period of time, the sector itself has been becoming more service oriented. What you see here as 1PL, the responsibility of moving material from the suppliers to end customers was, at some point of time, long time back, was taken by only manufacturers. That time it was called as 1PL, right? Then slowly a new breed of intermediaries came into play, who are called as distributors, and they were taking some part of the responsibility of storing and moving the material, and that was called as 2PL. These distributors were how do I say, dedicated to specific manufacturers. Then came a fresh breed of providers, service providers called logistics service providers, who are called as 3PLs. Some of you may have come across this term called as 3PLs, right? So these are independent service providers who can provide services to various manufacturers and invest in infrastructure such as transportation and storage. Finally, there is a new breed of service providers, which is called as 4PLs, who actually do a lot of integration, technology-led integration, and also consulting. They run the manufacturing resource planning, MRP, itself for the client and design the entire supply chain that is most optimal in terms of lead time, cost, and other parameters, performance parameters that are there, right? So what you see here is that logistics as a sector itself is becoming more and more sophisticated, right? So that is the whole story here. Then, as I said a couple of slides back, GDP is growing, and correspondingly the logistics service sector also is growing, right? So this is some numbers that you see here. Up to 2022 are the actual numbers, and from here compounded CAGR of 15.4% growth rate is anticipated. And compare this with the 7% GDP growth rate. So logistics is growing at a faster rate than GDP itself. And there are some factors that are contributing to it. I mean, we all know in the recent past, I mean, starting COVID, I would say that e-commerce has grown substantially. Most of our purchases these days are on internet, and that has changed the whole way in which logistics is organized in this country, not just in this country, worldwide, right? So that required infusion of a lot of technology, different kinds of movement of material, and so on, so forth, particularly in the last mile delivery, right? And increased requirement of logistics in agriculture and pharma industries, rising startups in logistics sector. You'll be surprised that one of the most promising sectors after finance for starting up technology-based startups is logistics, right? So there are a lot of unicorns within the country and outside also in the logistics sector. Automobile industry, I mean, among others, automobile industry is one of the biggest consumers of logistics services, right? And that has been hugely growing in this country, both for conventional as well for electric vehicles. Okay, this slide and a couple of other slides are a little more involved. I'll just present here to you the essence of it without really getting to the details. The point of the matter is this: GDP is growing, logistics sector is growing, but then there are hitches, there are glitches here, right? The glitches are that the cost of logistics, right? If you see as a percentage of GDP, the blue bar here, we are somewhere at about 16%. I mean, this probably has changed recently, but our cost of logistics is higher in comparison to that of some of the developed countries like USA or Europe. The implication of this is this, right? You are adding unnecessary cost on the product price that the consumer will have to finally bear without bringing in necessary efficiency into logistics. Government has realized this to be one of the biggest obstacles in achieving $5 trillion economy, and there have been a number of initiatives that the government has put in place to ease and reduce this cost of logistics. Some of these, this is itself a big, huge topic, but some of these initiatives I'll quickly talk about and how these initiatives are bringing down the cost of logistics. We can see for ourselves, right? So you would have come across this term called integrated development of logistics sector. Number of terms that are out there: National Logistics Plan or PM Gati Shakti Yojana and things like that, right? All of these are essentially talking about a holistic, unified, integrated logistics development. which was otherwise being driven by 15 different departments in ministries in the government that were pulling it in the direction which was convenient for them, right? I mean, and that was not serving anybody's need, right? So sometime back in 2018, 2016, there was a, how do I say, overhauling of how logistics was approached in the country, right? So with that background, number of things were put in the policy document that covered things such as the policy and regulatory. So you would come across a term called National Logistics Policy and Logistics Law. On the infrastructure front, there is a national master plan, right? So you will not blindly invest in different roads or ports or things like that. It must, sort of make sense, and it must have some kind of a priority, right? So urban and rural logistics and so on and so forth. All of this is tied together with a digital backbone, right? So there is a huge amount of digital investment, call it Digital India or otherwise, which is connecting all the elements, the nodes of logistics that are spread throughout the country over a certain network, right? All of this is great, but if you don't have people, it's not going to go anywhere. And this is where this whole program is going to come into play, right? So it has been estimated there are, again, big number of reports all around that tell us that this sector is growing, but one of the challenges that this sector faces is the right talent, right? Conventionally, this sector has been largely unorganized and was not run in a, how do I say, in a professional kind of a manner. I mean, person who owned a few trucks was providing the services, and it was very point kind of solutions. So that is gradually changing, and that is realized that there needs to be a much more professional approach. And to that effect, there are, I'll talk about it shortly, some investments by various entities to improve the skills, logistics skills of the workforce, which is so much in demand. I mean, there is a huge demand, but all the so-called educational system of the country is unable to sort of meet that demand. Okay, some more slides on what the government is doing to push logistics, to become world class, right? I mean, there was in one of my previous slides there was some index ranking that I didn't talk about, but India ranks about 38th in the total list of about 180 countries in terms of where does its logistics stand, and it's all right. I mean, we have moved a few points up there, but then there is a long way to go, and that will all happen if and only if there is a commitment from various stakeholders, and we see that there is a huge outlay of budget for improving the logistics sector. So those of you who come across this term called Gati Shakti Master Plan, the total outlay for Gati Shakti is close to $6 trillion, right? Which is, about, at least a couple of years back, 3 times our GDP size itself, right? So this was the kind of outlay. And you see that, the investments are being made on transportation sector, such as road and rail. And it needs to be sustainable, right? I mean, one of the blames on logistics sector that is that it is one of the largest sector that emits greenhouse gases. So in order to, and rightfully so, in order to sort of overcome this particular challenge, there is a huge initiative by various entities to use as much renewable energy as possible. The warehouses that we see around are also more and more smart warehouses are coming into play, which are lit by LED, which are energy efficient kind of solutions, and so on and so forth, right? Digital, we need 4G connection, all that, right? So so you see the whole country is sort of coming together in getting to a stage where we call ourselves as a developed country ourselves, right? So that's the background. Now finally, okay, I mean, on the skills side, right? What kind of people are needed in this sector, and what kind of skills they should have, what kind of training they should undergo, right? So at the bottom, what you see here are at the operator level, right? So if you are going to be driving a truck, or driving a train, or managing an operation, so that is kind of operator level. There are institutes that are catering to the needs, demand for this sector. And then you also have supervisors. There are also institutes that talk about. At the managerial level, also there is a huge gap, which can be filled in by programs, diploma programs, or PGDM programs, like the one that we are talking about. And there are some MS MTech programs also in logistics that are being offered by some technical institutions. The sample jobs that person specialized in logistics will do are listed here, and this is just a sample list. I mean, obviously there are many more. So you could be a purchasing manager, operations manager, inventory analyst, or exam manager, and things like that. And on this red box here, what you see are some specific skills that that a good logistics manager should have, right? So our PGDM LSCM program is keeping these skills in mind, and during the course of 6 terms plus internship, you will be imbibed with these kind of skills, right? So what you see here, without me again going through the details, a lot of technology is influencing how logistics is performed. And the program will ensure that not just you're not just a functional specialist, but how can you leverage technology in doing that functional activity in a much more effective manner, as against without technology. Yeah, so for senior managers, you need to have extensive knowledge in logistics functions, and be able to run warehouses and stuff like that. Middle managers, that is what you will be entering the workforce, right? So after PGDM at IMT Hyderabad, you will be entering the sector at the middle management level. And for you to be successful, what is needed are some of the skills that are needed are your ability to integrate various functions, like your marketing, production, distribution, finance, and so on and so forth. You will learn that. What are the important metrics for logistics measurement? There is a specific focus on that in our overall this one. Warehouse management, costing, operations are all some of the subjects that we have collectively designed and have put in part of our overall program. Okay, now recognizing the importance of a growing demand of talent in this sector, yet the supply hasn't been catching up. So there are some initiatives that you see here at the operator level. NSDC and Logistics Sector Council are tying up with a lot of private and public organizations to train people at the operator level. At the managerial and technological level, there are some examples of schools that are focusing on logistics. So for instance, some of you may have heard of this Gati Shakti University Vishwavidyalaya, which is at Vadodara. There is a school of logistics at Amity School, which is also handled by CIIL. Flipkart Academy of Supply Chain Excellence, Mahindra Logistics Training Programs are some of the examples where there are corporates that are coming in to put in right curriculum, right content, so that the people who are passing out from these programs are readily absorbed by the industry. This trend is not just in India, it is worldwide, right? Similarly, you see some global institutes, for example, MIT has so it has got Center for Transport and Logistics called CTL, which has got campuses in US, Europe, and in Asia, right? There is another huge logistics company called Kun Nagel, which has got an institute which is training people both at the entry level as well the executives, right? And then DP World is another big huge player in the logistics sector, which has set up an academy for training its own internal and as well external. So the trend is out there, and we are at the right time in terms of catching up on the rising wave, so that we are skilled in a right manner, and we are entering the workforce with at the right time, which is in a fast growth face, right? So this is the overall, overview of what the program is all about, why is it needed in today's economy, and what else is happening with respect to this skill gap is what I sort of presented. Now I would request Mr. Valnagam to share some of his thoughts that what is the CII perspective to this whole story. Over to you, Mr. Valnagam.
Thank you, Dr. Kalyan. I think you have put up everything in a nutshell in detail. I have to only echo a few of the points, whatever you have really upfronted overall. Again, good morning to one and all. It's a pleasure meeting you in this platform where I'm just getting associated with the future logistics and supply chain professionals. Right. I just, within the 15 minutes, have bifurcated as 3 or 4 different areas. One, what CII is all about. Second, what is this program, again, on logistics and supply chain management? Third, why should we get onto this kind of a program at this current scenario? What exactly is the job market? And fourth one, to whom the entire spectrum is all applicable. To start with, CII, again, Confederation of Indian Industry, is a non-government, not-for-profit kind of an industry body involving with government policy advocacies through consultative and also advisory process. The second area, CII, again, one of the center of excellences where we are working together, Institute of Logistics, also involved with a kind of industry network together where the industry perspective is completely seen through, and then the solutions are found through for the better efficient processing and also working through the scenarios. Third, the expertise what we have gained overall in the government sectors and also in the industrial networks, we thought we should pass it on as a CSR to the education institution. That is where we partner with the leading education institutions to imbibe the industry culture. Again, keeping in mind all the academic framework together to get on with developing professionals. Explicitly, as far as CII Institute of Logistics is again more towards the supply chain and logistics perspective, we are stimulating onto that. Now, getting along with what this program is all about, logistics and supply chain. Right. Couple of points on the macro and then the micro analysis. Right. Over the period of time, when we talk about logistics, 25 years back, it's all about moving a product from one place to other place. Right. Again, as a domain, logistics and supply chain, by and large, is to share, drive and then derive value within the chain. That's where logistics, merely from moving a product from one place to other place, have gone with a backward integration. If we have to satisfy the customer in the market, should we have to have the products, upfront, which is in the form of a stock. That is what you call as technically as an inventory under the what we call supply chain domain. So integrating the requirement of materials, stocking them, taking them into the inventories, and again having a warehouse management system, and then procuring the materials which are required for the customer. These all have got oriented within logistics, which originally were the functions within the supply chain. So supply chain merely which are involving into the entire spectrum of the logistics activity, again to derive value, obviously have gone into the forward integration. Today, when we talk in terms of supply chain, the days are gone. We keep talking merely about inventory systems or warehousing systems or logistics, last mile connectivity with the customer. Yes, those are all the core areas, but supply chain, by virtue of its own forward integration, is also getting into the manufacturing excellence. We call it as a manufacturing supply chain, and then also as a logistics supply chain. Why do we get on to that? Of course, as Dr. Kalyan already has mentioned about, India as a country currently are with a ranking of almost 5th in GDP, right? We are not far away from Japan or Germany, where we are very easily to take on onto the 3rd position. Again, logistics and supply chain is seen as a kind of a prime mover to make that happen in reality, right? So when we talk in terms of let's say India being in the fifth position, by and large, 60% of the share, I would say, is all from the service economy. And then little of them getting along with, of course, considerably onto the agricultural side and also onto the manufacturing share. When we talk about countries like China, when we talk about the other European countries, where the manufacturing side all along is around 25 to 30%. India for all these years have been within 15 to 17%, just hopping around that figure. That is where logistics and supply chain, by entering into the zone of manufacturing excellence, manufacturing operations, in terms of scheduling, in terms of, let's say, having a lean management system, in terms of efficiency derivative, in terms of getting on with the sustainability, what Dr. Kalyan has been mentioning about, or a digitalization process, synchronize these all, obviously it will become a kind of a prime mover where the manufacturing excellence can really get into the country through supply chain as a prime mover with a bottom-up approach, right? So that's exactly what I thought I should share in terms of one of the critical points. And second, when we talk in terms of what included into the logistics and supply chain, as we see as an end-to-end supply chain, right from procuring the raw material, and then manufacturing process, scheduling the manufacturing, and then quality control system, involving into the TQM, part of it within the quality, procurement, warehousing requirements, and inventory management system, until the last mile connectivity. These all, by and large, would give a 360 degrees approach for any kind of an industry, which one can really just prepaint. When we talk in terms of the last mile connectivity, that is what the logistics part of it, where it could be on a, let's say, within the region or within the state, or it could be interstate, or it could be global level. And when we talk in terms of the global logistics, that's where it's becoming again a set of a prime moving system as far as moving the entire logistics economy is concerned. That's where we talk about the the transportation through sea, transportation through air, which you call as a what we call maritime logistics if it is through water, and then you call as a air cargo management if it is through air. Also, again, a kind of a inland waterway system. These all areas are again moving on to the entire logistics perspective in a dynamic zone for a country like India, when we are talking about a not just only about a 5 trillion economy, which anyway would be in a very easy way in the near go, but also when we think about being one of the largest supreme power out of the first three in years to come, right? That's all about I would like to say onto the program, and again getting along with why we should get into the program, right? When we talk again, a few of the points to echo Dr. Kalyan has been mentioning about, in the recent years, the country has seen logistics and supply chain as a pivotal sector where the real infrastructure development can really get through. That is where sometime in what we call 2021, the Gati Shakti program has got introduced, wherein the multimodal transport system connecting the railways, connecting the roadways, and also stimulating about the waterway system along with the air cargo management system, dedicated freight corridors within the country. These all are really just making out the dynamism within the logistics system. That's making the country's overall economy really just coming out with an enviable figure. Currently, the logistics market is somewhere around 275 billion US dollars, and a couple of years, or I would say at the maximum by 2029, 2030, the country is really targeting with about 550 billion US dollars, right? When we talk in current global scenario, it's all about 9,500 trillion, which again, in a year-on-year basis, in the next 5 years, it's all planned up for around 15,000 billion US dollars. So we are well within the, kind of a year-on-year movement, what exactly at a global level, the scenario is with regard to the logistics side. And second, again, we talk about, besides the logistics, what we call termination is all about the logistics performance index, which was mentioned by again Dr. Kalyan, right? So we are currently, as it was informed, at a 30th position. When 2014 and before, we were nowhere in the picture. So when we talk in terms of 2015, we are in the position of 54, if I'm right, and 2016 we have really gone up until 35th position. In 2018 again we have come down to 45th position. 2020, there is no such what we call a kind of an assessment taken by World Bank along with the UN. Obviously, in the recent months, maybe in March, April, when again the census was taken through and assessment was overall terminated, we are in the ranking of somewhere about 45. If in case we have to be in the top 10, what exactly should be the dynamism that should get into the entire market or within the country when we are talking in terms of moving up in the top 10 position, or let's say top 15 position? Obviously, the development in terms of the maritime area, what we call as a waterways area, where 2015 we were somewhere around 750 metric ton per annum, and 2050, let's say 2020, we are somewhere around 1250 metric ton per annum, and again the country is envisaging to make that somewhere around 3000 metric tons in next 3 to 5 years to go. And that's something which is a very mind-boggling figure, but in reality that could happen if we are all synchronizing with the pools which is within the supply chain and then the logistic area. And then when we talk in terms of how we should be able to, as a country, we should be able to achieve in the higher up in the ladder, there are 6 pillars that are taken through: the timeliness within the logistics sector, the quality of services within the ports, and then what exactly is the way in which the customs is stimulating, taking on with the entire portfolio, and how the overall end-to-end quality management system within the ports. These all put together coming along as a 6 pillars, where the country is really pivoting all the activities to make sure that logistics become the best ladder to move on the Indian economy. So that's what I would like to talk in terms of why it should be. So we are talking about an area where tremendous potential in terms of job market, and also potential in terms of the overall professional expertise that could really just come along over the period of time. And then to whom the program? Obviously, with a kind of a bottom-up approach, which is getting along a service economy, getting into a manufacturing economy, again improving further in the research and development area. I would say logistics and supply chain is becoming a kind of a bottom-up approach, which is open to the students who are coming from various disciplines, right? Whether you talk about HR, you talk about commerce, or you talk about science, or you talk about engineering or management, there is a scope which is available for students coming from all these backgrounds from the undergraduation, and then whoever is able to excel in the 2 years, making use of the expertise provided in the CII platform along with IMT. I would say the growth for the individual will be based on only his or her aspiration and nothing else, right? So that's something which I would like to stimulate in terms of the potential that is available for the students. And of course, the program wise, again, it is a completely industry design, of course, in participation with IMT Hyderabad, and also industry led, and also, trying to give up the placement opportunity for the students all along with a very consistent efforts, giving them the fishing and also giving them a fish here and there. That's how exactly we have positioned the overall program. And I thought I will restrict within that 15 minutes. So if anything is there, I will open up in terms of a Q&A session. Thank you very much for all your time indeed.
Thank you so much, sir. We have a lot of questions, and some of those questions are slightly overlapping. So I will merge those questions for you because they are kind of similar. So one of these questions is, what will be the pedagogy of the program, and will the students of the first year be studying the same subjects as the PGDM core students, where all the other general and functional subjects will be taught? And how is the curriculum designed, and how will the PGDM LSCM curriculum be markedly different from the other PGDM programs, and where will this program's curriculum overlap with the other programs? Are there certain subjects that they will be studying together during the first trimester, or will it be completely different from the very beginning?
Okay. I'll go with that, Mr. Valnagam.
Please.
All right. So very good question. Indicates the level of involvement of the participants here. Thank you for the question. So having the program is, as I had touched upon during my talk, is completely unique all through, right? So having said that, there are about 10 subjects, functional subjects, what is called as, the basic MBA subjects like HR, that is organizational behavior, or financial accounting, or, managerial economics, or, finance, marketing, and things like that, right? So these all put together are about 10 subjects which are part of term 1 and term 2 in PGDM LSCM. And from then onwards, all the subjects are exclusively logistics and supply chain related. That's one. Having said that, is it that the PGDM LSCM students will study along with other PGDM core students these functional subjects also? That also is not entirely true. Even the functional subjects that I said, like, those 10 example that I gave, are going to be taught to students with a very clear logistics orientation than a very general management kind of an orientation, right? So therefore, what students can expect and should expect is that throughout, right from day one, they are into a very exclusive program with a single-minded focus on logistics and supply chain management. Did I answer that question, Andal, or Mr. Wali, you want to add anything there?
Perfect, very crisp, Doctor. Yes, in the trimester 1, there will be general management papers, which is same as the other MBA or PGDM. And from second onward, there will be a couple of, the combination of the general management and then the core. From there onwards, absolutely the whole platform will be filled up with logistics and supply chain specializations. And the curriculum and pedagogy wise, yes, curriculum, it is a thought process which is combined along with the academic essence of IMT, and of course the industry expertise of CII together, so that we are completely blending both in terms of sticking on to the academic framework, and then again taking along with the industry perspective. We very strongly feel that theories and practical are not two different things. 100% theories can be practically, applicable or implemented 100%. It all depends upon the quality of the pedagogy system, the quality of the faculty, and of course how the students are also able to take on with their interest.
So we have in
one point on pedagogy, Oindrila.
Yes, sir.
One point on pedagogy is
Yes,
that this program throughout, right from term 1 all the way till the end, there is going to be, industry contact all along. Every term, there is going to be an industry person or persons with substantial experience that will come and be part of some kind of a teaching. It can be a guest lecture, it can be an industry tour, it can be a internship program, it can be a project on a remote basis, and so on and so forth. But throughout every term, there are senior logistics industry people that will come and interact at right places in the program.
Okay, sir. So I think for all those students who were asking about the pedagogy, I think the answer is clear to all of you. We have another question from Mr. Vijay Krishna. He's asking that as per industry standards and requirements, can a fresher get an opportunity, or is it better to have hands-on experience to be placed in this industry?
Shall I, Doctor?
You want to take that, Mr. Valnayam?
Yeah, right. When the program is completely a blend of the academics and industry orientation with a joint hands with the IMT and the CII, already the students, when he's coming out or she's coming out, they have 2 years of rich industry experience with academic blend. So obviously they can treat themselves to be, a 2 years experienced individual. And of course, it would also be not out of place to mention a student who is along with a fresh UG coming along into that will be able to very, very clearly able to imbibe both onto the structural areas of theory and also conceptualizing and taking on with the industry approach.
Thank you so much.
It is not mandatory that a person should have prior experience either in logistics or otherwise for one to get into the program and make a career in logistics. Having said that, if you have had an experience, that always, I mean, it is true for any MBA program, that any prior experience is always helpful in you being able to sort of blend your prior understanding or your prior knowledge or experience into the classroom lecture that is happening, but that's not mandatory.
Thank you. So the next question we have is what, according to y'all, which sector in logistics currently has the greatest potential for growth in India?
All right. I'll take on, Doctor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The program is logistics and supply chain. So as we have seen in our presentation also, when we talk in terms of supply chain, again, getting along with the manufacturing supply chain and also logistics and supply chain, which is coming under logistics and supply chain in today's context, the opportunities available to students are almost, I would say, countless. When you talk in terms of manufacturing industries, yes, the students can be anywhere as a supply chain specialist in terms of the middle level or a junior management level or top management level, depending upon how they are performing in the program. And also, you talk in terms of they have to place themselves in any of the shipping side, import-export management, or you talk about freight forwarding companies, you talk about e-commerce industry, that's also widely available. And you talk to anyone who is quite interested in a specific functional aspect in terms of inventory management system or warehouse management system or a procurement buyer, all assorted kind of 360 degrees opportunities available. And within the first 2 trimesters, the student will be able to sense himself or herself what line he or she should be able to take a thread on, and there'll be ample of opportunities available for them to get placed anywhere, because the placement all about could be anywhere in the top manufacturing companies like Hindustan Unilever or Tata Motors, or you talk about PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Asian Paint. But on the other side, name any e-commerce industry, but everything is based on the students his or her own approach and the interest. The whole 360-degree opportunities available for them.
Yeah, so therefore the question is slightly difficult to answer, as in there is logistics is not a sector as in sector itself, but if you want to give it a sector name, then what ends up happening is all the 3PL and logistics service providers is considered as one of the sector. Now, in itself, that sector is one of the fastest growing sector, right? So therefore, you don't need to worry on that front. But having said that, are you limited only to the logistics service provider sector? That is not also entirely right. The intake by the corporates for the program could be in many other domains also. For example, Mr. Valli Nayagam already talked about that you could get into a manufacturer themselves, right? Your HUL, P&G and the likes. They have for them, logistics is a pretty important component of their overall supply chain, and they want to keep that under control, right? So that's one sector. The entire manufacturers itself is a sector. Retailers and e-commerce players are another sector. Examples: Amazon, Flipkart, and things like that. Then there are these IT and ITES companies like your HCL or Wipro, TCS, and so on and so forth, who are providing logistics solutions to their clients, right? So that's one place where typically you could go. And then there are management consulting companies, like your Bain, McKinsey, and the likes, Deloitte. All of these are providing logistics solutions to their clients as well, right? So this is also another sector where you could potentially enter. So the opportunities are endless, but fundamentally, if you ask what is the growth rate of logistics, if you consider only 3PL and 4PL as a sector, that itself is a much higher rate in comparison to the other sectors in the economy.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is from Mr. Nilesh Banerjee. He's asking that if the curriculum of logistics is oriented towards LSEM subjects from the very beginning, then will it not restrict the knowledge of general subjects like HR, marketing, finance, etc. that other PGDM students will be studying? Like this is his question.
Yeah, so we already answered this question. We said that there are 10 subjects that are part of general MBA, that every MBA student learns. 10 subjects, right? I mean, not a small number. And they are part of, term 1 and term 2. So you will not miss out on the basic management subjects.
Our next question is from Mr. Nilesh again. He's asking that as logistics and supply chain management is a vital part of operations management, then as a student of logistics, will he also have the opportunity to end up in operations roles as well, like somebody who is doing BGDM operations management? Is there any similarity?
Yeah. So, Mr. Valnagam said, right, manufacturing company, examples being HUL and PNG. So if you're going to be a procurement manager or if you're going to be an inventory manager, that is exactly the same thing as exactly the same thing an operations, PGDM operations student will end up if he or she is joining a manufacturing company. So there is an overlap. If you are joining a manufacturing company, it's possible that a PGDM operation student might be doing exactly the same thing as a PGDM LSCM student. That possibility exists. But remember that your training is for a much deeper logistics domain. So maybe your entry could be at the entry level, you could be doing the same thing, but by virtue of your skill that you got in the 2-year program, your career path will be very exclusively on the logistics domain.
We'll take one final question from Vrunda. She's asking that what is the mindset and what is the skill set that a student needs to have for entering this particular course?
Okay, so pretty simple. The student should be interested in the logistics as a domain. In itself, it's a pretty broad domain. I mean, don't worry that you will restrict yourself to a very narrow domain. I mean, logistics is not a narrow domain by any count. I mean, it is a horizontal that touches any industry of your choice, right? I mean, the logistics of a petrochemical company will be way different from the logistics of an automobile company, from the logistics of an Amazon company. But all of these are logistics, so to speak, right? So fundamentally, therefore, the mindset that the individual needs to have for he or she to enjoy the course is they must be interested in logistics as a broad domain. Apart from that, we really don't place any hard constraint in terms of what should be there. Prior skill sets, I mean, interest is what is expected. Rest we will take care during the course of the program itself. Mr. Wali, did I answer that completely?
Perfect, Doctor. I think nothing more to add on to that. Perfect.
Sure.
So, Kalyan sir, there's just one more question.
Yeah.
That we have a candidate who's asking whether they can take dual majors, like there are 6 other specializations, right? So can he choose some other specialization along with being a part of the PGDM LSEM program?
At this point of time, we are not considering that as a possibility, but who knows? Right now, once you sign up into PGDM LSCM, that's what you will do.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
I see one question in the chat. Let me answer that also. So there was a student called Sriharsha Avaru who is asking, can a normal PGDM student enter logistics world? So when if I understand the question correctly, by normal PGDM student, is it that a student that has got that has been given an offer in PGDM general, or what is the question?
So
for the benefit of others, let me answer that. So if you've been given an offer in other PGDM programs, will you be able to get into LSCM? I think that that doesn't work, but you will need to work that out with the admissions team separately. But the whole admissions process has been very exclusively designed for that. That's one. Second is, if I understand normal PGDM student as a one with general basic UG qualifications, will he or she be able to do do a PGDM in logistics? Absolutely, there is no problem, right? We haven't placed any specific constraint in terms of what should be their prior qualification and what kind of a percentage and that kind of stuff. So if you're qualified into it, then you can enter into logistic world without any hassles.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we are out of time. It's already 12 o'clock. And thank you so much to both our speakers for taking questions. If there are any more questions from our students, you can write to us on the admissions@imthyderabad.edu.in. If there are any questions for our speakers or any questions for our program chair, we will forward the mails that you all will be sending, and our speakers can respond to you all. Thank you so much, and we will end with this. Have a very good day and a very happy Ugadi to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Correctly. Thanks, doctor. Thank you. We'll see you again.
All right. Okay. Bye bye. Wish you all the very best, everybody.